This is CBC Vancouver News.
Everyone is so, feeling so sad here.
A Sikh leader is shot to death outside a Surrey Gurdwara.
It does appear to be a targeted incident.
The search for whoever killed him.
I absolutely think there is misogyny going on, no doubt in my mind.
Surrey's mayor accuses BC's Solicitor General of bullying and misogyny as the debate over policing grinds on.
It's benefited a lot of things, LNG being here. You can see it every day.
And big changes in Kitimat, how a massive LNG plant is transforming that northern BC community. The opportunities and concerns. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. There is shock after the president of a Surrey Gurdwara was shot and killed outside that temple last night. Police said the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar appears to be targeted. Renee Filipponi has our top story.
The brazen act of violence has shocked Surrey's Sikh community. President of the Guru Nanak Gurdwara, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, was gunned down in the temple's parking lot. Crowds gathered overnight, grieving the leader. Nijjar was an outspoken voice in the push for a separate Sikh nation in India's Punjab state.
It does appear to be a targeted incident.
Police are not speaking to motive.
I am absolutely appalled that this would take place in a house of worship in the city of Surrey.
Outside the temple, people showed up to pay their respects.
He was a very nice person.
Some say because police believe it's targeted, they worry for their safety.
Lots of people, including me, are feeling that the Canadian government and the RCMP, their response was not good enough.
CBC News agreed to withhold these men's names. Just hours before he was killed, Nijjar talked to the congregation about a referendum he was helping organize for an independent Khalistan. That kind of political action is why CSIS had warned him about threats, according to the World Sikh Organization.
That this hit, this assassination, needs to be investigated thoroughly. It's not just the people who pressed the trigger, it's the ones who ordered it. So we have, once again, strong suspicions that this is foreign interference in Canada.
Threats will be part of the investigation as they move forward, and I'm not going to confirm any threats.
Ottawa is taking any claims of foreign interference seriously.
With regards to any national security concerns, naturally those are issues that we take very sensitively.
Police are not providing any information about suspects and are asking any witnesses to come forward. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Surrey.
And earlier tonight, hundreds of people packed the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara to hear from community members and share their thoughts on Nijjar's killing. The meeting leaders say was to discuss next steps for the community. Some claim they feel betrayed by the Canadian government and police agencies in terms of safety. Gurdwara officials say Nijjar had received threats because of his support for a separate Sikh state in India. Leaders here are now pushing for action to prevent this type of violence from happening again. In 2016, CBC News reported that the government of India was seeking Nijjar's extradition from Canada on charges related to extremism. The CBC's Salima Shivji has more from Mumbai.
Well, the Indian government wanted him extradited for what Punjab police called acts of reviving terrorism in the state, something he denied. Hardeep Singh Nijjar actually was put on India's designated terrorist list under the country's Unlawful Activities Prevention Act back in 2020 for his pro-Khalistan activities, promoting a separate Sikh state. Before 2020, individuals couldn't be labeled as terrorists, only organizations. Now, people can be put on that list without any judicial process. There was also a cash reward on the books for any information leading to his arrest from India's counter-terrorism unit. He was accused and wanted for allegedly conspiring to kill a Hindu priest, charges that Nijjar denies. Well, Indian officials are not commenting for now, but they have been vocal about how they see Nijjar in the past. Also vocal and really quite angry at what Indian authorities see as Canada's complacent attitude towards an internal threat of a pro-Khalistan movement. Now, it is a small minority that supports a Khalistan state, not just in Canada, but in other countries where there's a large diaspora community like the UK and Australia.
The war of words between the provincial government and the city of Surrey escalated again today in dramatic fashion. Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke accused Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth of bullying and even allegations of misogyny. It comes as confusion lingers over how the city will be policed. Joining us in this confusion, Municipal Affairs reporter Justin McElroy. Justin, what spurred this latest exchange?
Yeah, particularly fiery 8 hours in this now 5.5-year debate over policing in Surrey. Dan, it started this morning when the Public Safety Minister, Mike Farnworth, issued a release saying that the provincial government hadn't received information from the city of Surrey yet that they said they needed to see whether the city's new plan to stick with the RCMP would work from a public safety perspective. They gave the city a 3-hour deadline to provide that information, and then 30 minutes before that deadline was to pass, Brenda Locke had an emergency press conference where she said that that information would come in time, but she criticized the province for what she argued was a heavy-handedness and said that it wouldn't have happened if somebody different might have been in her position.
We could have had a conversation. He could have lifted the phone, and he hasn't. He has been a bully all the way through this. I have never, ever used the gender card. But in this case, I absolutely think there is misogyny going on, no doubt in my mind.
So there you have it, words that to escalate in some ways this simmering feud between the city and the province now in full-blown mode. Now this afternoon, the provincial government did say that they had since received the information that they needed from the city of Surrey on this and would hope to make a decision quickly as to whether it meets their satisfaction for the city moving forward on their preferred course. But certainly anyone hoping that the two sides would be holding hands and singing Kumbaya dashed a little bit today.
Needless to say, what has the province's response been here? And to clarify, don't they have the final say regardless?
Well, and that is just it. They have put in these guidelines of what they say that the city of Surrey needs to do in order to retain the RCMP. But if you look at their rhetoric and you look at what they've been hinting, there is the distinct possibility that at the end of this, no matter what the city of Surrey says, they go, you have to stick with the SPS. We're going to overrule you on this. And we've seen time and time again in disputes between municipalities, not just Surrey, but anywhere in BC and anywhere in Canada and provinces, that the justice system will say, look, under the Constitution, it is provincial governments that have the right to do ultimately what they want. And so when we put to the mayor of Surrey today, what are you going to do if the province ultimately makes this decision? Do you think you have any recourse there? Locke's answer was telling.
It's clear in the Police Act that cities get to choose their police departments. That is our responsibility. Yes, they can. Yes, I know they can overrule cities, but I would expect that with all of this, there would be a reasonable person. If you're asking me, do I think legally, I can't answer that.
I mean, both sides obviously think the other side isn't being exactly reasonable at this point, but still to be determined what the next steps are, what the province will do, and if all of this ends up in court later on. Dan?
And it continues to roll on. Justin McElroy reporting tonight. Thank you. BC's coroner has more grim news on toxic drug deaths. It says over 1,000 people were killed by poison drugs in our province in the first 5 months of this year. Those deaths represent a nearly 3% increase in deaths over the same time last year. The coroner says the majority of the deaths are being caused by fentanyl, though meth and cocaine are the next most common substances. The number of deaths due to toxic drugs remains high. There was a drop between April and May from 218 deaths to 176. Nanaimo Regional General Hospital has added 12 new beds to its intensive care unit.
It's 3 times as large in terms of space as the current ICU, which is about, and that's a significant, I think, change, not just in the quality of care, but the quality of work that all of our staff here are able to provide.
The new ICU includes larger single-patient rooms, a family consult room, and updated equipment. A 12-bed high-acuity unit is still being built. The combined budget for both projects was over $60 million. BC is getting some much-needed help from south of the border as crews battle the largest wildfire in this province's history. More than a month after it started, the Donnie Creek blaze is still out of control. It's more than 5,300 square kilometers large and continues to threaten parts of the Alaska Highway. A U.S. incident management team and 2 specialized crews arrived over the weekend to help. The BC government is promising more than 1,000 new affordable rental homes in Burnaby. The city says those units are badly needed. But as the CBC's Zara Premji explains, those who live there say it's just a start as they all deal with rising costs.
So the only option that I see is moving out of the city that I like so much.
A reality many people in Burnaby have had to face as they watch the price of rentals go up and the number of affordable rental units go down.
Very expensive here, and there's not a lot of options.
They say the demand for more affordable rental housing in Burnaby is at an all-time high.
I feel like it's pretty overwhelming.
The province says it hears their calls for help and is responding as fast as it can.
And we know that the need for affordable housing is urgent. And for rental housing, we know we need a lot.
The Premier and the City of Burnaby have announced $253 million for almost 1,500 rental homes.
If 1,500 is what they think is going to be enough, then I think they're solely mistaken.
The homes will span across 10 different developments. Some are specifically for Indigenous people, seniors facing homelessness, low-income families, and people with disabilities.
There's a real affordability challenge in Burnaby, the rest of Metro Vancouver, so this is a very welcome announcement.
But she says it won't be enough. The BC Nonprofit Housing Association says the number of homeless people in Burnaby has gone up nearly 114% from 2014 to 2020, and it fears those numbers will climb even higher. Burnaby's mayor says he knows this will feel like a drop in the bucket at this point, but it's a start.
But let's face it, we had 30 years of non-action on affordable rental homes, and now we're all playing catch-up.
The Nonprofit Housing Association says data shows Burnaby needs more than 3,000 units by 2026.
We need the federal government to be coming to the table and scaling up those investments.
But for anyone looking for an affordable rental right now,
they don't need a new unit of housing. They need help making their rent affordable. And so a rent supplement can be a really quick turnaround and a short-term solution.
The BC government says it will continue to explore new ideas to get Burnaby residents and British Columbians into more affordable rental units. Zara Premji, CBC News, Burnaby.
After years of controversy and some opposition, the Coastal GasLink pipeline project is almost complete. Kitimat is home to the LNG Canada processing plant. Some people say it's already transformed that community. As Jessica Chung explains, the project's economic and environmental impacts are taking shape.
Growing up in Kitimat, Brandon Heighton never expected he could ever start a business in his hometown.
Growing up, we saw a lot of the industries leave town and shut their doors, which, definitely had an impact on the community that was, thriving.
An influx of workers from the construction of a new plant convinced him to take the plunge, opening an ultra-modern microbrewery in April. It's just one example of how the community of Kitimat has transformed since it was chosen to be the site of the LNG Canada terminal, the country's largest private infrastructure project 4 years ago. The giant liquefaction plant is located at the bottom of the fjord south of Kitimat. It will process gas from the Coastal GasLink pipeline and transport it across the Pacific Ocean to markets in Asia. The factory's construction now employs over 7,000 people in a town of 8,000 residents.
Because these plants generally they're designed for a 25-year life expectancy, and for most people that's a pretty good career.
The Murdochs will be among the 300 employees that will operate the plant once it's built. Kitimat's mayor says the project has been great for residents and for the town's relationship with the Haisla Nation, whose land the project is being built on.
So the relationship is just, it's 100 times better than what it used to be. And really it's LNG Canada that brought that together.
In his garage, Elder Sammy Robinson says he's happy the project is bringing jobs and money to his people.
But so far, it's benefited a lot of things, LNG being here. You can see it every day. Yeah, but Lord knows what the impact will be after 5-6 years.
The nation has often endured rather than profited from the city's multiple industrial projects, but this time they have been partnered with LNG Canada from the start, with an agreement that the nation will get a share of the profits as well as well-paying jobs.
The tipping point in regards to the support for LNG was the fact that it evaporated. If anything were to ever happen, LNG would evaporate into the air. And
the construction on the plant is set to finish in 2025. Jessica Chung, CBC News, Vancouver.
Starting today, bikers in Vancouver can run errands without worrying about bolt cutters sabotaging their ride home. Vancouver's first free bike valet will roll along all summer long. It's similar to a car valet with staff parking and someone retrieving your wheels for you. It's beside the Vancouver City Centre SkyTrain station on Granville Street. It can hold 100 bikes, e-scooters, strollers, and other personal mobility devices.
It's a safe way to drop off our bikes and like electronic vehicles such as these ones, e-scooters, e-unicycles, and in a safe manner, because otherwise we would have to lock them up outside and they'll be subject to theft and vandalism and what have you.
The free valet service will be open rain or shine from now until September 1st. Still to come, after weeks of delay, Ibrahim Ali's trial resumes in court. What the jury heard today. A detailed report after this. Hello to everyone watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. Thanks for being here. A new way of practicing veterinary medicine in BC is seeing some big success in the Kootenays. Last June, 7 different clinics in the region joined forces to make sure animals get the care they need and staff get the relief they require. As Corey Bullock explains, that arrangement comes amid a massive shortage of vets.
Good job, Rosa. For veterinarians like Dr. Jasmine Hardy, no 2 days are the same.
We have a lot of pressure on us to, always be available to provide services.
1 year after forming a cooperative of vets in the East Kootenay, Hardy says that pressure is easing.
It's definitely increased my quality of life, the quality of life of the rest of the staff, and I know all the clinics in the co-op are feeling the same.
The stress was often overwhelming.
People were getting burnt out. We were going to lose really key staff, support staff, our veterinarians. Just about killed some of our staff, I think.
A new triage answering service means vets are called into the office less. Technicians determine over the phone whether it's an emergency or not.
They've been able to divert about 75% of the phone calls that come in.
Their success is now being recognized nationally. Tanglefoot has received the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association's 2023 Practice of the Year award.
I think it's well deserved, and a lot of what we do is behind the scenes, so it's nice to get recognized for that.
Part of the award focuses on the clinic's mentorship program. It's hosted more than 40 students in the past 5 years. It's also helped ease their staffing shortage, a problem that is continent-wide. The clinic has been able to hire 2 mentored students this year.
It's super important for their careers to be able to, get involved in cases, practice critical thinking themselves, get some hands-on surgical skills.
The East Kootenay Veterinary Group is not alone. 5 clinics in Kamloops also work together. Tanglefoot hopes other vets across BC will consider a cooperative approach.
It seems to be working very well, and we are absolutely planning to continue with it.
And that means dogs like Rosa and cats like Steve will continue to get the care they need. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
The trial for Ibrahim Ali resumed today after a 2-week break. Ali is accused of first-degree murder in the killing of a Burnaby teenager 6 years ago. Her body found in a park. Her identity is covered by a publication ban. Our Liam Britton has more on what the jury heard today.
Today's evidence was highly technical, but it could prove critical as arguments in the trial develop. Specifically, the Crown may have been trying to establish the credibility of their expert witnesses ahead of any questions by the jury or defense. Taking the stand were 2 forensic experts from an RCMP lab that processed samples both from the victim's body and Ali's. Christine Crossman, an RCMP biologist, explained how the chain of custody is maintained for evidence like body swabs. She told jurors about computer logging of every transfer of every piece of evidence between techs and storage and testing processes, and she said each transfer is logged with a barcode scanner and a tech's unique PIN code. Jeremy Fenn, a search technologist at the lab who is an expert on sperm evidence, explained how scientists like himself ID human sperm cells. Now, neither of the experts offered conclusions today tying Ali to any DNA evidence, but today's evidence could be about laying the groundwork for those conclusions. Ali has pleaded not guilty. He sat in court wearing a dark suit, often with his head down and occasionally rocking in his chair as he listened to a translator. Forensic DNA evidence is expected to pick up tomorrow. Now, the defense has not had a chance to cross-examine the DNA experts. Liam Britton, CBC News, Vancouver.
There is a time-lapse of the rain over downtown Vancouver earlier tonight. It certainly is June, but we're in for a warm-up. Amy Bell will have your BC-wide forecast after this.
Ooh, that's a little extreme. A tad extreme.
Well, what else is new?
That's all it is these days. Again and again and again.
The subject is, of course, taxes. And brace yourself, we're about to get hit again. The Transit Commission, with the help of the BC government, is now proposing to levy a tax on parking spots in Vancouver. $29 million extra is needed to pay for this. $29 million that the Commission would like to see come from here and here.
For instance, if you were parking downtown Vancouver and you were paying $3.25 a month, your tax could probably go up to $4.25 a day. So that extra $1 would go in for transit.
And the details are still to be worked out.
The details are still to be worked out.
$1 more per spot is probably what we will end up paying in commercial lots next year. If you take the $20 million the Transit Commission hopes to make next year from parking taxes, divide that by the 52,000 parking spaces in downtown Vancouver, you find that each spot is going to need to generate $558 more. It's a cost that could be less if the Commission decides to tax all the parking spots in Greater Vancouver. But still, the biggest concern is for the downtown core. Some fear the public will refuse to even bring their cars downtown anymore.
I feel that if we have an additional tax, it will make the downtown business community that much less competitive than it has been, especially if a tax is not applied against the whole of the GVRD, in other words, against the suburban malls too. If it's just the downtown, we're going to be in a serious position.
One of the options being considered is a free bus service around the downtown core, but like everything else, it's just an option. Tomorrow, the Transit Commission will meet to talk about details. The question in many consumers' minds is, once the deficit is cleared, will the parking prices ever go down again?
Parking at this.
I think it's really stupid. They're taxing us enough, so it's just another ploy for them to take more money from us.
I'm not very happy about it.
Why not?
Because we have to pay enough already, don't you think?
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
CBC Vancouver is the premier media partner of the 2023 Surrey Fusion Festival, July 22nd and 23rd. Visit the festive cultural pavilions, enjoy free live music and family activities. And the 13th annual Indian Summer Festival takes place July 6th to the 16th. The festival's powerful 10-event lineup speaks to the theme of interdependence. Tickets at indiansummerfest.ca.
A lost animal in Hickson, just south of Prince George, is a new home. The female pot-bellied pig is settling into her new digs at Tickled Pig Rescue. Carrie Hagel says she got a call about the abandoned porcine at a rest stop on Highway 97 on Thursday. Without a plan, she jumped in her car to go get the little one. She says construction workers in the area say they've seen the pig there off and on. It's believed she's been there for a while hoping to get treats from drivers as they pull in.
She was just in need, right? Like the minute we saw her and she needed vet care, well, then I'm just quick to jump on it, right? See her limping around the rest stop looking for food.
Hagel's asking for name ideas for the oinker, and you can leave one by commenting on the Tickled Pig Rescue Facebook page. They'll choose a name by Thursday when she goes in for a checkup with the vet. I like Maisie, Petulia, or Maud.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Amy Bell is here with our BC-wide forecast on the Juniest June day, and we need this rain.
We do need this rain. I don't know that we need the snow that we've seen, on the Coquihalla and some of the mountain passes, but that's where we are. So yeah, that's sort of the tale for half of the province. The northern half dealing with sunshine, warm temperatures, but yes, we've seen this rain and activity for much of the south coast, Vancouver Island, and yes, we do have a chance of some wet snow at those higher mountain passes for the Coquihalla, Highway 3, and also for the Okanagan Connector. That risk continues overnight and through into early tomorrow morning. We will see things settling down. This rain is much needed, but it is fairly short-lived. By the end of the week, we're actually back into that sunny and hot weather pattern. But you can see this is the area of activity that we'll continue to see dissipating. Things really start to ease off by tomorrow afternoon, and then Wednesday, definitely a transition day. We'll see lots of clear skies coming in behind this system. So once it makes its way further over into Alberta, we'll see that ridge of high pressure once again setting up, and that will mean those temperatures get warmer. Not tomorrow, though. Tomorrow definitely on the cooler side and definitely still on the wet side. And we will see rain overnight. Comox, though, not bad, as is Nanaimo. Victoria, a bit unsettled. So any sunshine you see will be later in the day. Very unsettled for Whistler tomorrow. We will see clouds, some showers, even a good chance of some thunder and lightning. And very wet as you're making your way out into the Fraser Valley, Abbotsford and Hope. But yeah, you can see still looking great tomorrow up in Dease Lake with a high of 22. Prince Rupert was sunny with a high of 18. Same story for Port Hardy. 12 degrees, though, in Kelowna and 15 in Williams Lake. So definitely still trending much cooler, and with that wet weather in the morning especially. We'll keep an eye around the Prince George area for some lightning strikes, but hopefully with the rain, we won't see any new fires developing. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast. So yes, tomorrow's wet, and then we get into the sunshine, and then we're back into that summer hot weather by the weekend.
And we won't forget about this, June. Let's be fair.
Let's be fair. We won't forget it.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
That's your late news for Monday. Thanks for joining us tonight. For news at any hour, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Have a good night.